Well, we're back for the Refuges Mental Health Monday, and we have really enjoyed this series. And it's always fun to hear from people who say, I gleaned this thing from what was shared this week, and I really needed it. And that is really our idea. I'm here with my friend Joe Rainey from the Refuge, and we have been hosting this since the beginning of coronavirus, and our whole intention was just to create some way to acknowledge and understand that this takes a toll on our mental health and we need support. And so we have invited friends of the refuge who are therapists, life coaches, people who are mental health sustainers to help us. And so I'm extra happy to have Sharon Saul with us today because she used to be part of the refuge a long time ago. The refuge is 14 years old. We're a Christian community and mission center, really evolved over many years. But Sharon was there early on and just a good friend, and watching the story of going back to get a master's degree and become a therapist years and years ago, and then just staying in touch all these years. And technology, I keep saying on here, one positive of coronavirus is that we can interact this way, because normally Sharon wouldn't be able to be here because she lives in Seattle, Washington, and we're in Colorado, but because of technology, we can make these things happen. Sharon is a therapist at Kaiser Permanente in the Seattle area. And it's really important just to know that everyone who's been on is just sharing as a human, who are in the trenches also as people who hold space, not necessarily from any organization, but really as people trying to make it through this together. And it's hard on everybody. There's not any group that is exempt from the realities of coronavirus. So Sharon, we're really glad that you're here with us today.
Yeah, super excited. Somehow our paths haven't crossed yet, so I'm looking forward to getting to know you a little bit. And just a reminder for everyone that the discussion questions will be in the description box below the YouTube video and also in the show notes of the podcast. And if you have a chance, please try to engage those in some way, because that's really where we get the extract the content and let it digest a little bit. So yeah, take it away, Sharon.
Hello. I don't know who I'm speaking to, and it's kind of weird to talk to your computer, but bear with me, feeling awkward. Anyway, like Kathy said, I'm a therapist at Kaiser, and I talk to people all day long, every day. And if I had to choose one word that I felt like described where people are at right now, is weary. People are very weary. The abnormal is becoming the normal. And I'm sure that this is true where you are, but it's very true in Seattle, that is compounded by national unrest. So we have all of that woven together. And it's a lot to hold. It's a lot. So what I'm going to start with, and you probably all have already done this, and maybe you do it on a regular basis, but I'm just going to start with us taking a breath, because that is something we have available to us all the time, and we don't use it enough. I don't use it enough. I use it a lot when I do it with clients, but I don't always remember to do it for myself. So we're going to sit kind of upright. You don't have to be straight up, but just don't be all slouched. Let's put our hands on our belly. And the reason that we're going to put our hands on our belly is that we really want to breathe into our belly. We don't want to be breathing into our chest. So when we put our hands there, it can help us realize whether we are breathing into our belly or not, because we should feel it expand. If that's not working for you, cross your arms and put them behind your back, and that will help you breathe into your belly. Because honestly, breathing into your chest is going to get you more activated, but breathing into your belly is going to calm you. So we're going to breathe maybe just 5 deep breaths. I'll lead it, but don't feel like you have to stay at my pace, because stay at the pace that feels good to you. We're going to breathe in to 4. We're going to breathe out to 5. And I suggest breathing in through your nose, breathing out through your mouth with pursed lips, just nice and slow. And I also recommend using mantra. So the mantra that I suggest people, but you can make your own, is I'm breathing in calm, breathing out stress or anxiety or unrest, whatever word fits for you. Okay, so let's go ahead and try that. I'm gonna breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Last one. Breathe in, breathe out. So I hope that felt a little relaxing. If not, you got to practice with it and find a pace that fits for you and kind of get comfortable with it. But it is something you can have in your back pocket all the time and pull it out. Like I find when I'm seeing clients, they'll be telling me their story and I have this huge exhale because I'm like, oh my gosh, that was a lot, right? So it's like, let's let go of all that stuff we're holding and breathe in that calm. So next point that I want to move on to is I think that it's a really good idea to reflect. We've been in this pandemic for about 5 months now. And I don't know if you've taken time to reflect. You're probably so busy thinking about like, how long is it going to last? When is it going to be over? But I want you to think about, how have you managed it so far? What have you learned? What have you done differently? Notice your resilience. Does it surprise you? Is there anything that you in the beginning thought, I'm not going to make it, and now you're looking back and you're like, oh, here I am. I'm 5 months in and I'm still here and I'm making it. So reflect on what you have done instead of all the things that you're struggling with. They're both valid, but we get really lost in what we struggle with, and it's really helpful to focus on what we've learned and what we've done. So my next point is to be. Can you sit with the unknowing? Can you sit with the uncertainty? It's hard. We are a culture who loves to know, to plan, and to have control. But now we have to let go of all of those things. And then when we hold on to them, that actually only makes them increase because we're trying to control something we can't control. So I want to say, just be, live in today and be present. You know, that's something we teach all the time in therapy, and I'm not always the best at doing it because we're living in the past and we're living in the future. But now we have this really great opportunity that we can't do anything but live in the present. So take it and trust that you'll find your way through the surprises ahead. Yes, surprises, adventures, challenges, they will all be there. Stop making predictions about yourself and how you're doing and whether you're going to make it and about your future and what's going to happen next. Trust that there's not one thing in your life that God can't make something good out of. Just be. And my last point is to nurture. Nurture you first and foremost. It's our responsibility to take care of ourselves, though many of us were taught otherwise. And if we don't do it, we either suffer or someone else takes on doing it for us. But I don't think we always realize that. Like, oh, I shouldn't take care of myself. I need to take care of everyone else. So when we don't take care of ourselves, either we have nothing to give or someone else has to take care of us for us. So I'm going to talk for a few minutes about self-care. And I know this is an old topic, but never grows old, right? How and when do we practice self-care? We do it regularly and consistently. We use many small actions and awarenesses. It's not going on a vacation and getting a massage every week. If you can do those are great, but that's not what self-care is in the whole. Self-care is every day in tiny ways and in small awarenesses, paying attention to what you need. So I have this down and dirty self-care list. It's pretty simple and it's pretty manageable. My point number 1 is sleep/rest. 2 is food and nutrition. 3 is water. 4 is outdoors. 5 is movement. 6 is connection. 7 is joy, delight, and laughter. And 8 is calm. I think they pretty much speak for themselves. Outdoors, this is fairly new science, but they are really saying nature is actually something that is very restorative. So get outside every day. If you can't go for a hike, sit on your patio and drink some lemonade. But get outside. Movement. I purposely didn't put exercise because it looks different for different people. Connection. Staying connected in some way, right? It's different now. Joy, delight, and laughter. I didn't put happy because happy, I don't know what that even is. It's this temporary state that people dream about, I think. But there's joy and delight in every day, even if there's a lot of darkness. And calm, I always define calm as doing nothing on purpose. And my antiquated picture of it is reading a magazine and drinking lemonade on a porch, right? Like no one's like, I gotta read this magazine and I've gotta finish it. And no, they're just flipping through. I know no one reads magazines anymore, but they're flipping through the magazine and looking at things. So remember to find some calm. We're not very good at that either. So I give people this list and I say, I don't want you to be like, okay, here's my to-do list. I want you to go, what's already kind of going well? What's one tiny thing I could work on changing? So that's my self-care list. Do a little check-in. Don't make it long. I'm going to give you one practice that you can practice, and I'll just show you this. It's called the GLAD technique, and I wrote it like this. And I usually make it in a little index card, and I put it by my bed so that I can remember to do it before I go to bed. So G stands for gratitude. What's one thing that I have gratitude for today? What's that one thing I've learned today? What's one thing I've accomplished? And what's one thing that brought me delight? It can be the tiniest thing. It could be a flower that I saw. It could be the giggle of my grandson. In the midst of the darkness and the hard, we have to hold on to some of these things or we'll get lost. So I have one last quote and I'm going to wrap it up. And I hope that this is helpful. I loved it. I don't know who wrote this, but self-care isn't always chocolate cake and trips to the spa. Sometimes it's meal planning, going to bed early, and letting go of a bad friend. It's forgiving yourself for not meeting your own impossible standards and understanding that you are worthy. Always. Self-care isn't just luxuries, but a means of survival. So thank you for joining me today and take care of yourself. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, can you hold up the card again?
Sure. Where did I put it? No, I lost it.
That's all right.
I had it right here. Oh, here it is.
So gratitude, learn, accomplish, delight. Love it.
And it's meant to be small, right? Like little things. Don't look for something huge. Like sometimes my accomplish is I wash the dishes.
Yeah, I got out of bed
Yes.
on time. Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, it's a lot of people at the refuge have this practice of finding a word for the year every new year rather than a resolution.
Right.
And I'd forgotten mine, but it's nourish was the one that I picked. And I think I'm nourish and nurture and those kind of words are easy for me to do for others, but not so easy to do for myself. And so that was a really good reminder of that kind of that theme. So thank you.
Yeah, every time when I'm sitting here listening, I'm just reminded that these really basic things are what we need to keep circling back to, because they're so hard to actually do. But what I love about what you reminded us of is just glean what you can and be gentle. All roads lead to that also. Be gentle with ourselves. But it doesn't really just drop out of the sky. We've got to be intentional about it in some way. And it doesn't have to be complex, and it doesn't have to cost a dime. It has nothing to do about money. It has nothing to do about resource. It just has to do about being human and taking care of ourselves when all around us is so much chaos. And so thank you, Sharon. Really appreciate you coming today. And our hope is always, as you are listening, that you can take something for you this week and grab onto it and notice it and practice it. And when you don't, be okay with that. And remember that it's just hard right now, but there are ways to be buoyed and there are ways to strengthen ourselves so that we can keep making it through not knowing what the end is going to be. So thanks again for being with us. We're always glad to create this space and to be with friends who help remind us of these truths.
All right. Thanks, friends.